Attention Minnesota Vikings fans! The news we have today will drive you crazy. Vikings fans are flooding our social networks trying to understand what just happened, and here in this video, you will know everything firsthand. So don't leave. Don't forget to leave your like on the video too, because it helps our community to grow more. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe, because here we always do giveaways with subscribers. Now let's go to today's news. Vikings must negotiate with Bills in the draft and aim to strengthen defense with rare talent. The countdown is almost over. With the NFL draft just days away, which begins on April 24th, the Minnesota Vikings find themselves at a crossroads. With only 4 picks guaranteed, the team needs to get creative, and by all accounts, they're about to do just that. In his latest mock draft, NFL.com analyst Chad Reuter projects a bold trade between the Vikings and Buffalo Bills that could change the team's fortunes in the first round. The scenario is clear. Give up the 24th overall pick and drop to 30th, gaining 2 valuable 4th-round picks in return. Strategic move. Less glamour, more depth trading. A first-round pick for lower positions may seem like a step backwards at first glance, but for the Vikings, it could be the right fit at the right time. The franchise, which has been trying to balance roster renewal with some immediate competitiveness, sees the accumulation of choices as a chance to fill important gaps. In Reuters' scenario, the team uses the 30th pick to select safety Nick Emenwari from South Carolina, a defender with unusual athletic characteristics who, alongside veteran Harrison Smith, could form a dynamic duo on the last line of defense. In a year where the Vikings finished with the 28th worst passing defense in the league, this addition feels like a much-needed relief. Emenwari can line up in the slot, cover tight ends, and play last man. He has rare versatility, Reuter wrote. Who is Nick Emenwari? A defender with explosiveness and instinct. If you haven't heard of Nick Emenwari yet, it's time to pay attention. The Gamecock safety was one of the NCAA's top defensive standouts in 2024, with 4 interceptions, 57 tackles, 2 pass breakups, and 2 defensive touchdowns, a performance that earned him an All-American nod. At 6'3", 215 pounds, and with impressive speed, 4.38 seconds in the 40-yard dash, Emenwari surprised scouts at the Combine. His explosive vertical jump, 1.0 swatm, and long jump, 3.35 confirm what the tape already showed. He is a rare athlete with the ability to change the game in a single play. We knew he was good, but in Indianapolis, he showed he's a next-level athlete, said Trevor Sikkema of Pro Football Focus. In addition to Emenwari, Reuters' mock features a sequence of choices that, if implemented, would give the Vikings a much more balanced roster. Dylan Fairchild, OG, Georgia. A 74.6 PFF grader, he offers immediate reinforcement in the offensive trenches, an area that has remained healthy so far but lacks depth. Tyler Batty, edge, BYU. With 16.5 sacks and 122 tackles in 5 seasons, he brings energy and rotation to the pass rush. Jalen Smith, CB, USC. Reinforces the secondary with experience and good statistics. 2 INTs, 59 tackles, and could compete for snaps in his first season. Brashard Smith, RB, SMU. Rushing for over 1,300 yards and 14 TDs, eases the load on Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, Jake Briningstool, TE Clemson. With nearly 1,400 career receiving yards, he's a solid target who complements TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. 6 choices instead of 4. More flexibility, more future. Ultimately, what the Vikings gain from this trade is flexibility. A draft that was announced to be limited in terms of capital could turn into a real restructuring opportunity. With 6 picks, and all addressing positions of need, Minnesota comes away with a more robust, more competitive roster with talent to develop. Furthermore, the movement shows intelligence and patience. Rather than betting everything on a first-round pick, the Vikings would be betting on collective depth and long-term potential. While many eyes will be on the quarterbacks and big stars at the top of the draft, the Vikings could be doing some behind-the-scenes work that will pay off in gold this season. If the team can come away from the draft with 6 new serviceable players, especially with a talent like Nick Emenwari leading the class, this trade with the Bills could be remembered as one of the shrewdest moves of 2025. The countdown is on, and Minnesota could spring a surprise. Vikings consider bold trade for Will Levis and could strengthen roster with 3,900-yard QB. The Minnesota Vikings are at a critical moment in the restructuring of their roster, especially at the most important position in American football, quarterback. Although the team bet big on young J.J. McCarthy with the 10th pick in the 2024 draft, the need for a Plan B begins to grow as the season approaches, and the reality of the roster's limitations knocks on the door. With only 4 picks in the next draft, the franchise is practically out of the fight for a new quarterback among the rookies. This makes the management's eyes turn to the trade and free agent market, where one option is gaining traction: Will Levis from the Tennessee Titans. The proposal, made by Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, presents an interesting scenario. Minnesota would send a 2026 third-round pick to the Tennessee Titans, and in return, receive Levis along with a 4th-round pick this year, number 120 overall. A smart move that would not only address the depth gap on the roster, but also increase draft capital for 2025. The Vikings are in dire need of a qualified backup. Currently, the only alternative to McCarthy is Brett Rypien, which doesn't inspire confidence, Knox wrote. Levis isn't exactly a mentor, but he's already started 21 games and could take over if McCarthy isn't ready. Drafted 33rd overall in 2023, Levis came to the Titans with high expectations. In his first 2 years, he performed reasonably well. 3,900 yards thrown, 21 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, and a 61% pass completion rate. However, the team's record in games he started, 5-16, raises questions. But it's important to look at the context. The Tennessee Titans have struggled to build competitive rosters. Since the end of their 3-year playoff run, 2019-2021, the team has not really clicked, accumulating 35 losses in the last 51 games. Levis has often been left to fend for himself in an inconsistent offensive system, with a weak offensive line and an unreliable receiving core. With the number 1 pick in this year's draft, it seems likely that the Titans will select Cam Ward, a promising quarterback who has been rising in mock drafts. That would make Levis a logical trade, especially considering his affordable rookie contract, $9.5 million over the next 2 years. Despite being one of the stars of the last draft, J.J. McCarthy is still an unknown quantity. The quarterback suffered a serious knee injury in August 2024 before he even officially debuted, which required 2 surgeries and kept him out for his entire rookie season. The expectation is that he will return healthy, but with no NFL experience yet, the gamble is high risk. In addition, the Vikings lost veterans Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones in free agency, and even flirted with the idea of signing Aaron Rodgers in a bold attempt to bring immediate leadership to the locker room. However, they backed out of the deal, and the market for available quarterbacks is increasingly tight. Levis would be the necessary insurance, and perhaps more than that. Levis' arrival could represent more than just coverage on the roster. Even without star status, he is a quarterback with real NFL game experience, something McCarthy does not yet have. In a scenario where the youngster is not ready for Week 1 or needs time to regain confidence and rhythm, Levis could take over the team's command without the team having to play the season. In addition, Levis is still young, has room to improve, and would be in a less chaotic environment than the Titans, with a more structured offensive scheme and promising players around him. Conclusion: a trade that could be worth much more than it seems. For a franchise that lives between rebuilding and trying to stay competitive, the Vikings need to think outside the box. Betting on Will Levis may not be the dream solution, but it could be exactly what the team needs right now. An affordable quarterback with experience, room to grow, and a desire to prove his worth. If Minnesota wants to prepare McCarthy calmly, without throwing him to the Lions in Week 1, securing a backup with the potential to take over as a starter is more than sensible. It's necessary. And Levis, in this context, could be the right piece at the right time.